It is here, at 18th and Vine in Kansas City, that a legacy lives. It is about a building and a museum, but it is about so much more. Walk inside and you begin to understand a tribute to baseball, to be sure. More importantly, it is a history lesson of how sport helped this country understand equality, because you could not deny the talent of a league that helped integrate the sport and the country. The Negro Baseball Museum shares a building with a tribute to jazz. What it does is provide perspective on how the grand old game changed.
The idea actually originated with the late Horace Peterson. Horace Peterson ran the Black Archives of Mid-America, and he came to Buck O'Neil, the great Negro Leagues player and co-founder of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, with an idea that said we needed to do something to celebrate a forgotten piece of baseball in American history.
So was born a place that would serve as an entertaining reminder of what once was and how it affected a nation to this day.
I think that any time that we break a barrier, any time that we do something that allows people to accept people that they may not have otherwise accepted, we take a step forward for humanity, and certainly in terms of opportunity for those who follow. It is no understatement to say that everybody living today has stood on somebody's shoulders. As an African American, as an African American mayor, I certainly appreciate the legacy of the Negro Leagues and what that meant in terms of breaking a major color barrier and integrating America's pastime.
The people come away with a different understanding than when they walk through the door. What's the most fun about working here?
Meeting all these people from all over the world, from Australia to Canada, you name it, I have met them. And people come here the first day, they want to say, man, I want to come here and see that stadium, come and see Negro League, you know. And, you know, see people's face when they walk out the door, you know, that was the thing that brightened up my day the most.
The tributes to the greats are what makes it special. The most famous of them all, pitcher Satchel Page. Not just a great pitcher, but a great entertainer. And because of that, people would drive from miles around if they knew Satchel was on the mound that night. In his time, he was the man, but just as important, he understood his place. So when people come through here, so much of it is about Satchel Page, isn't it?
Well, Satchel Page was the biggest attraction at the time. It was the time when Satchel Page, they would go to see Satchel Page, and instead of having 10,000, they have 40,000. So when he came, you know, it was the biggest thing in town when by Satchel Page. Matter of fact, not only that was, when they came here on Sundays, they would let church out early for the people to go see Satchel Page and the rest of the Monarchs play. So that was the biggest thing going on, especially on Sunday.
Satchel Page, in many ways, was the Negro Leagues. I mean, he was just that good. And that's not to disparage any of the great stars, because right where we're seated here, you're surrounded by stars. But Satchel Page was a star among stars. You know what I mean? He had that charisma. He could sell it, but he could back it up.
What no one ever knew for sure was Satchel's age.
Major League Baseball says that Page was 42 years old when he finally got his opportunity to pitch in the major leagues for the great Cleveland Indians in 1948. Cleveland would win the World Series. Many thought that Page should be named Rookie of the Year. And Page was likely closer to 52 than 42. Never told his real age. I'm not sure if he knew his real age. Here we have on display his original tombstone. And when you go look at the tombstone, you'll see that there is a question mark by his birthday. He literally took it with him to his grave.
Here kneels Josh Gibson, the most outstanding catcher to play in the Negro Leagues, but there are people that would suggest it was with his bat that he made his name. In fact, there are people that witnessed him playing that said he had the same power stroke and could have hit just as many home runs as the Bambino. He was the ultimate, a defensive catcher who could hit the baseball a long way.
Matter of fact, there are those who believe that Josh Gibson was the black Babe Ruth. There are others who will say that Ruth was the white Josh Gibson, because Gibson was incredible. In 1936, that man hit 84 home runs in a single season, strings of 75, 71, and 69 in single seasons. Still believed to be the only man to ever hit a ball completely out of Yankee Stadium. Gibson caught his entire career, 18 seasons in the Negro Leagues, and we purposely put him in a defensive posture here at the museum because we wanted to remind people that he wasn't a good catcher, he was a great catcher. And so when you look at that combination of power and average, and then what he was able to do and do it as a catcher, I'm not sure that I think you could make an easy argument that Josh Gibson was the greatest baseball player to ever play this game.
There is the ultimate spokesperson for the museum. Buck O'Neil was a great player.
And I knew I was playing with and against some of the best athletes in the world.
And when he went on a mission to help promote this project, it was a game changer.
Well, he was the Pied Piper of the Negro Leagues. He gave the Negro Leagues a level of credibility that it had not seen before, in large part to his role in the epic Ken Burns documentary on baseball, where Buck was doing this compelling narration, and he was sharing these wonderful stories about black baseball to baseball fans who had never heard about these unsung baseball heroes. And he did it with a smile and a twinkle in his eye, and America fell in love with Buck O'Neil. He was 82 years young at that time.
Kansas City was part of it all. The Monarchs, the team, and this part of town segregated. So when there was baseball, there was a buzz, and there was a pride, and there was a feel that changed the game.
Once upon a time, that was the biggest thing in Kansas City. Back in the day, you could only go to 2 hotels, Rochester Hotel and Street Hotel. So when the Monarchs were in town, you had a chance to see all the great ball players, not only great ball players on the Monarchs, but great ball players on other teams too, as well.
Because there were only 2 hotels for
There you go. So they had to stay. Yep, they had.
So you knew where they were all the time.
There you go. And they played pool with them. They shot pool. They put drink with them. You know, the whole 9 yards, dance with them. So that was the biggest thing in town when the Monarchs were in town.
That's why it's appropriate the museum is in this city and in this neighborhood.
This museum is one of the iconic structures in the city. It encapsulates the history of this entire area. Negro Leagues was started right here in this area, right down at the old YMCA on Paseo. To have the museum that close to it, this is something that baseball players from around the country and the world have come to see and need to come to see.
They see a field of monuments that are separated by design from the people who come through it.
Of course, here at the Negro Leagues Museum, we segregate you from the field. We wanted our visitors to at least remotely experience what segregation was like. In the case of these great athletes, knowing full well that they were good enough to play in the major leagues, so close to it, yet so far from it.
Couldn't touch it.
So from most vantage points in the museum, you can see the field, but you can't get to it. And so the only way that you're allowed to take the field here is you have to earn that right. And you do so by learning their story.
A story that needs to be told and retold. How baseball helped change society and how a group of people with a mission can make a difference forever.
It's everything that we as Americans have come to grow fond of. It's about pride, it's about passion, it's about perseverance, it's about the underdog overcoming to go on to greatness. And people have just fallen in love with this story.
Life to the Max is brought to you by Life Touch. Photography for a lifetime.